Sit up. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to go over my most recent video, Bank Churning, by doing a live bank offer uh, together live. So I talk about it in the video, but in the live stream we'll go over doing an actual offer um, that you either get in the mail or you go apply for yourself just by going directly to some any bank's website. Actually, you know what? We'll do that too while we're doing this live stream. We'll do the one that I got in the mail, and we'll look for one that basically anyone can get just by going online. That way, you don't have to sit around wait and get one in the mail. And we'll also go over the script of one of my new videos that'll be coming out. It's about Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the best books. One of the best books you can read. You absolutely should read it. It teaches you about um, assets and liabilities, but not just like in the monetary sense. Just in any um, life situation or scenario, you can basically insert his asset versus liability teachings to pretty much any aspect of life. Um, okay, so got here. It's $600 from Chase. Specifically, in order to get the $600, if I can get this open. I'm gonna cover that up. So basically, you can get 300 for just opening up a checking account and setting up direct deposit. No need to insert any cash whatsoever. So like in the bank churning video that I posted a few days ago, I talked about how you can have between 0 and $15,000 to make anywhere from, you know, upwards of 15% return over the course of a year. So, um, or no, wait, it was like 15,000% return because if you have $0 and you do a bunch of these and make $300 each time with $0 and you do that 5 times, you made $1,500 with $0 over the course of a year. And the other really good perspective to have on it is, um, say this takes us an hour to do. You made $300 in 1 hour. I'm pretty sure most people are not making $300 an hour. So, um, all right, let's read the fine print because there's always some fine print. Always, always, always. Obviously, here there's you have to open it by a certain deadline. And to get the other extra $300, um, it's an additional 200 by depositing 15,000 into a savings account. Well, I don't have that. Um, if you have that, I would assume most of us don't have that. So, um, and then the last extra $100 is to just do both offers at the same time. So it's 300 for the direct deposit. It's an extra 200 by depositing 15,000 into a savings account. But if you do both of them, then they'll give you an extra 100. So I'm about to go to chase.com. Actually, let's do that part that we just talked about earlier. Um, that way you're not sitting around waiting for something to come in the mail. Let's see if you can just pull it up on their website. Yep, right on the homepage. It literally says new Chase checking and savings customers. So anyone can literally just type in chase.com right now in a browser and get the $300 with absolutely no money, zero money. Just make $300 and under an hour, boom, you make 300 bucks an hour. But like I said, there is going to be fine print, so um, I'm just going to read all the fine print. Service fees for the Chase Total Checking. They have that there's no monthly service fee when you do at least one of the following. Have an electronic deposit set up, which the whole point of doing this is to have uh, direct deposit set up so you get the free 300 bucks. So I'm not going to read all the other ones because it's already solved. All right. Bonus account information. Checking offer not available to existing Chase checking customers. Savings offer is not available to existing Chase savings customers. Both offers are not available to those whose accounts have been closed within 90 days or closed with a negative balance within the last 3 years. You can receive only one new checking and one new savings account opening related bonus every 2 years from the last coupon enrollment date and only one bonus per account. Coupon is good for one-time use. So, in summary, if you haven't had a delinquent account with Chase in the past 3 years, you're good. If you don't currently have a checking account, you're good. Um, a non-delinquent account can't have been closed in the past 90 days. And also, you can't have redeemed something like this in the past 2 years. So, I check all those boxes. You probably check all those boxes too. If you don't, the idea of bank account churning is there's many other banks out there with many other offers. So, and also, every 2 years you can get this 300 bucks with absolute zero money. So let's just do a little bit of math. Um, I'm gonna add calculator up here. And let's do a little bit of math. Can you guys see that? It's backwards on my screen, but that's probably just in the streaming software. Yeah, okay, so there it is. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of math. So first off, we've already established that it'll only take you about an hour to do this, so that's 300 bucks an hour. But let's see over the course of doing this in 2 years, how much you make, let's say, per month. Just off of the one bank account, which doesn't meet the requisite of churning. Because churning, I'm gonna go ahead and coin it. Churning means you have to do at least four. Because you got a couple, which is two, a few, which is three, and then you promote to churning, which you go past a few. So, um, but a really good churner, is churning out 20 or more of these a month. No, not a month. Sorry, a year. Um, okay, so in 1 year, oops, I got the wrong one. And make that smaller. Okay. So in 1 year, which is 12 months, you're roughly going to make $25 a month. You're making 25 extra dollars a month the year that you do this offer. Now let's say you have the extra $15,000 laying around too. Now you're making $50 a month. Now over the course of 2 years, you do it twice. Now you got 1,200. What is that? 100? Now you're making $100 a month. It's not hard, man. If I had to do that on the calculator, that would be so sad. But let more realistically though, you do the 300 twice over the course of 2 years. So now you got 24 months um, at 600. This should be easy too, but I'm just letting the calculator do it. So you got 600 divided by 24. It's right back to the same $25. I'm a little slow. Sorry, guys. So there you go. You're making $25 a month extra than you would have for 2 hours worth of work over the course of 2 years. That's that's great. That's absolutely great. Um, now, the other way we could look at it too is we're going to have all these exact same numbers if you had the 15,000. So let's figure out what that interest rate you're now making is instead of you know risking your capital by parking it somewhere in some sort of investment vehicle, whatever it may be if you're choosing. Um, you always have the money. It's an FDIC backed, government backed bank account. So you're not risking your capital in any way, shape, or form. So what is that? You make the extra 300 with the 15,000. We won't include the first 300 because you get that for free. So um, where's my math? All right. So holy moly. See, this is why live streams are scary for me, and I just stick to editing because even though if this took me an hour to figure out, which is very sad, I'll admit, you don't have to endure all that editing and all that editing time that I put into it. But now you're gonna have to bear with me while I figure this out. So um, it's 300 over the course of a year, but it was 15,000. But you need 15,000. So would that not be 5%? Oh wow, it's only 2%. So I guess you kind of look at it as a CD, which I say that in the video, the bank churning video. It's basically the same thing as parking your money in a CD. But the thing is I'm pretty sure, depending on, the fine print, you could put your 15,000 into the Chase account, m- make that 2% over the 90-day period. So it's a little higher than a 6% APR because you're not right, yeah, because you're instead of getting the 2% over 12 months, you're getting the 2% over 90 days, 3 months. So it's actually over a 6% APR return, which is way better than any CD that you're going to get. Um, I wish I had viewers because that made sense in my head and I could break it down if anyone had questions. Um, so it's actually a great return, but to finish my point from before is now you have an absolute great return over the 90 days. You meet the requirements from the offer for the free $300, and now you can turn around and put it in a CD and get another 2%, but you're actually gonna have to wait, the full year for that. So, um, I'm at chase.com again. And see, look, they have a $200 credit card offer too. So with no annual fee, and then an extra 3% on dining and drug stores, which you shouldn't be dining out anyways, because that's not the rich mentality. But so um, I could sit here in under an hour, get the free 300, and then also get the other extra free 200 from the credit card. And things also, like I explained in the video, is just put things that are already a necessity on there. Get your car insurance and your groceries and your utility bills onto the credit card, satisfy the requirements, get the free $200. Boom. In under an hour, you now have just made $500. Most people do not make $500 an hour. They just don't. All right. So I've made the bank account. Now all I need to do is simply log into my employer's like payroll system. Click on direct deposit, put in the new account number and routing number, and then now over the next, obviously I get paid every 2 weeks, so it would take at least, one full month for the direct deposits to come in. So once you open an account, um, your direct deposit made to this account within 90 days. So within the first 90 days, they literally give you 3 months to just have two direct deposits. Actually, no, you only need one direct deposit. So after the first 2 weeks, oh, this is new. They didn't used to add this in there. Your direct deposit needs to be an electronic deposit of your paycheck, pension, or government benefits from your employer or the government. Person-to-person payments such as Zelle are not considered a direct deposit. That used to not be in the fine print. I mean, I spoke about that in the video where there's still other ways around that. Sometimes it can be flagged as a direct deposit if you do it from like basically kind of like any brokerage account like Robinhood or Webull, um, just things of that nature down, which I have links to down below. Oh, here's another fine print. You must keep the account open for at least 6 months. So, one way around, you know, credit card churning being a burden is so this this specific offer says you have to keep the account open for 6 months, but it's also saying um, you have to constantly have direct deposit. Otherwise, they'll start charging you a fee. And if you start getting charged fees, it kind of defeats the purpose of getting free money out of it. So, what you can do is um, every direct deposit, payroll system that I know of, you can just change the percentage. You can drop it all the way down to like 1% going into this Chase account for 6 months. Just set a calendar reminder. So at the end of the 6 months, you go back into the payroll system, you take that 1% away, and now you've satisfied all the requirements, and you can just simply close the account. And then 2 years from that day, you can go ahead and do it again and get another free $300. Um, and I'll throw a few little extra perspectives on it as well. So um, you have this extra little cushion savings money of 1% going into the bank account. Now, um, first off, that's just nice to have. Like I said, just nice cushiony money. Like at the end of the 6 months, you'll be like, oh damn, I got a couple extra $100 sitting here. That's awesome. Who doesn't like a couple extra $100? But it's even nice to just that calendar reminder hits you, and then you go, and then you show up, and it's like, dang, I completely forgot about this. Now I have, if you didn't, take it out and use it, you have this sitting in the account, and then also all that 1% direct deposit money over 6 month period. Now, if you got, multiple different bank accounts with these little 1% going into each one to satisfy the requirements of each one of these churned bank account offers, at the end of, you know, 12, 18 months when they're all satisfied, I mean, you could have probably close to, that $15,000 that some of these offers want you to have. So now your following year, whether 12 or 18 months after doing all this, or even longer, 24 months to 36 months, now you have that whole extra 15,000 that you can play around with every single year, pretty much doubling your free money to 600. And you know by the end of the next you know uh couple of years, you have, I don't know, 40, $50,000. That's a lot of money. It's a crap load of money. I mean, you can park that money in just a regular savings account if, like, investing is, too risque for you. The more you watch Rich Mentality, though, you'll realize it's not over time. That'll be your new comfort zone. But let's right here. So you now have $40,000 over 6, 7 years of constant bank account churning. Obviously, with all those little 1% direct deposits sprinkled into them as well. If you can get 40,000 just from bonus offers from credit card churning in 5 years, impressive. So yeah, just say just a regular money market account, 2%. You're now making another extra $800 a year just from your your bank account churning habits. Now say you're also doing all your credit card bank uh, or your credit card churning habits. Now I spoke about, actually, you know having fun with that money in my video, more like free vacations, which I'm gonna have to stick to my guns on that one. I mean, there's really no point in living life if you're gonna do nothing but hardcore frugality churn for 5, 10 years and never have any fun at all. So yeah, do all your savings with your bank churning and do all your fun and travel with your credit card churning. One day I'm gonna have people watching. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a good time. All right, let's just talk about this Robert Kiyosaki video. Actually what I'm going to do, I am just simply going to um I think I'm just going to record it. Well, no, I can't do that because I wanted to actually give my thoughts and talk about how much stuff never actually gets into the videos because I just start rambling on and I feel like a live stream is better for rambling. Um, yeah, let's do that. All right. So, Robert Kiyosaki is a wealthy entrepreneur, perhaps best known for his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I don't have with me. Otherwise, I'd show that to the camera too. It's a great book. Everyone should have it, or at least read it. Um, he has also run multiple business. He has also run multiple businesses and made many types of investments, mostly with a high degree of success. Sorry, I was looking at analytics. His most recent business has provided success to not only himself, but many others as well. Kiyosaki now runs a financial education company that provides finance and business education to students through books and videos, now worth about $80 million. That's a little old. I think it's like 90 something million now. Um, Robert Kiyosaki wasn't always rich and successful. In fact, it took him several failures to get to his current level of success, which didn't come until later in his life. He dedicated his, he dedicated his entire career to learning about money, investing, and running businesses. So, um, it's a good flow for the script, but actually, if you read his book, he talks about becoming very successful very early on, actually, which I mention it here a little further. But he becomes like one of the top sales rep at Xerox, and I don't know, I think he was like it was 24 or younger. He was really young. Um, but it does say current level of success, so I don't know what I'm talking about. He's dedicated his entire career to learning about money, investing, and running businesses, as everyone should with the rich mentality. In this video, we're going over his best points for reaching financial success and avoiding the rat race. Also, how can you use them to reach your goals? How did I do that? How you can use them. You can use them to reach your goals. Take special note at number 6, which is the best one. It's like his it's Robert Kiyosaki's like embodiment of what I found to be so helpful about him, which has been a life-changing concept for so many people to achieve a rich mentality. Yes. I'm not going to give you my intro because how gross would that be? But I will say subscribe, please. Subscribe. If you find the stuff helpful. I'd prefer you actually didn't just because I told you. Number one, learn financial literacy through experience. To be financially smart, Kiyosaki says that you must learn accounting, investing, laws, and how the markets work. It, it's important to know how money works so you can use it to your advantage. Financial knowledge has many faces and there can be a lot to learn, but unfortunately, these are not emphasized in school. That's true. It's actually changing. That landscape is kind of changing uh, recently. Like the year 2022, there's been lots of school systems that are actually starting to um, support a kind of like a finance, not the old economics type class, but like an actual like base fundamental, credit scores, basic investing, all that stuff. Because schools train kids and young adults to become successful. Oh, because schools train kids and young adults to become successful employees, not business owners and investors. Kiyosaki famously stated that he purchased his first investment property, a condo in Hawaii, for $18,000. Although it wasn't enough to make him rich, the experience he gained was invaluable, giving him the knowledge to do larger deals in the future. Taking educated risks is key in the business and investing world. So, yeah, like you got to constantly um, stick at it and learn from your failures because you only get better and better, just like my videos and these live streams. Um, there may not be a lot of people watching them, but surprisingly, they're getting a lot better, lot better. It like with each one, it makes me recognize just how awful one of the previous ones were. Number two, avoid fear and self-doubt. Anyone who's created their own success will tell you that failure is inevitable and an integral part of succeeding. Robert Kiyosaki has failed in different businesses and investing ventures, but he doesn't let those setbacks limit his potential. He, if you have an amazing idea for a new business, fear and self-doubt could keep you fear and self-doubt could keep you down, preventing you from moving forward with that $1 million idea. Just want to point out, if you guys notice how often I trip up on my words and stuff, it takes me hours to get through editing these audio recordings. It's awful. The ones who get rich in the real world aren't necessarily the smart people, but the bold people. They're not afraid to take a chance, and they know the possibility of failure is always present. However, they know the reward is worth the chance. Those with a rich mentality, like those who watch this channel, take risks because they find opportunities in life that could potentially turn them into billionaires. Number three, learn to sell. A woman with a master's degree in English literature asked Kiyosaki how she could become a best selling author. Knowing that the writing skills are not the most important factor, he advised her to enroll in a sales training course. The woman was taken aback. She was just absolutely shocked by his answer. And she asked him if he was serious. Like, what? Kiyosaki picked up a book from the coffee table and replied, "There's a reason successful books say best selling author, not best writing author." Mic drop. She went home and cried that night. So many tears that there was never a page dry enough for her ink. Damn, that was poetic. I'm sorry. Selling is a crucial skill if you want to be rich, he exclaimed. Explained. Well, exclaimed works there. Especially if he just did the mic drop. Kiyosaki himself turned down a high-paying job in the oil business to work for Xerox in sales, like I said, if you read his book. To learn how to sell, get out of your comfort zone, practice selling and networking. If you don't, you'll never be able to run your own business. Number four, ask how can I afford it? One of the characteristics that made Robert Kiyosaki so successful is that he simply never said that he couldn't afford something. Instead, he'd ask himself, how can I afford it? How can I do how can I do to be able to achieve that? Oh my God, see, I'm retarded. What can I do to be able to achieve that goal? My Lord. Simply saying I can't afford it shuts down further creative thought and eliminates any upper potential. Asking how can I afford it opens up options for excitement, possibilities, and goals. The most im- the most impactful this is actually a quote from my book, Serve, which you should get. If you would like to support me and just have some insight on the abundance mindset or a subset of the abundance mindset, which is what I'm calling the serve mindset. Um, the most impactful perspective to take away from basically this, don't say don't say I can't afford it, but think of what I can do to afford it. The most impactful perspective on that is you are taking the immovable objects of statements and transferring them into the unstoppable force of a question. Mm, also poetry. Those with a poor mentality are fiscally conservative, which means they can't afford to take risks. The reason for this is that they don't have a solid financial foundation. That Simply believing that something is outside of your reach often leads to continuing working for someone else. Yeah, you can run that along. Doing the same thing year after year. The poor and middle class think they could achieve a reasonable pay or promotion within their company, but that type of thinking is most definitely not the rich mentality. Number 5, understand how taxes work. Those who work for someone are the ones that pay the largest amount of their income in taxes. When you earn a paycheck, your taxes are taken out before you even receive the money. It's a sad truth. So when you go to spend it, you're spending after tax dollars. Business owners earn money, then deduct expenses and pay taxes on their net income, therefore spending before paying taxes. For example, a business owner earns 100 grand per year, but they don't pay tax on that entire amount. Any time that can be any any item that could be legally purchased by the corporation. It doesn't have to just be a corporation. It could be an LLC or a sole proprietorship. It could be it could be deducted from that income, those items purchased. With the help of a legal team, it would be reasonable to reduce that taxable income to $50,000 by using business expenses that ultimately leaves a taxable income of $50,000. So you cut that in half. Instead of paying taxes on the entire $100,000 in gross income, an employee who earns $100,000 per year pays taxes on that entire sum, possibly leaving them with $80,000 in after tax income or less. Then they must pay for their expenses with the money that's left over, which is just the majority of people. And it's for a few reasons. It's just, you know, ignorance is bliss. um, and just the simple fact that the poor mentality are those that just simply don't care to put in the extra effort, which is the rich mentality. You self-educate, you get out of that ignorance is bliss, and then you also put in the consistent work to ensure the building of wealth. I was going to say accumulation, but I couldn't pronounce it the first time. Money withdrawn from a 401k is taxed at ordinary income rates, which in many cases is at a higher rate than that than the long-term capital gains rate of 0 to 20% that would be paid using a traditional brokerage account. Since taxes were deferred by investing into a 401k, once they withdraw money during retirement, he or she will be forced to pay taxes and all the money they on how did I do that? on all the money they withdraw. At the higher at the higher income tax rate, eliminating any tax savings. 401ks also don't offer the flexibility of using leverage. It's much harder to invest using leverage inside of a retirement account, and this limits the type of investments one can make when investing in rental property. I'm going to say in real estate, that flows better, doesn't it? I'll leave it for now. The government allows you to depreciate the building, deduct expenses, and mortgage interest. When the property is eventually sold, the gains are most often taxed. are, mo- are most often taxed with the low 0 to 20% tax rate, usually lower than the tax rate most pay with their 401k. The government has many rules on how much you can put in it, when you can take the money out, and what types of investments you can make inside of it. Kiyosaki recommends against putting money into a 401k since it only offers temporary and immediate, upfront tax savings and has many negative consequences, such as those I just mentioned. It's getting dark. Those who are seeking to build wealth and permanently lower their taxes should instead invest in things like businesses, real estate, commodities, and so on. And this is the biggest one. I mean, you truly can take his teachings in his book of asset versus liability and basically plug it into any aspect of life. It's not just like a monetary thing. If you read his book, you'd understand. Number six, buy assets, not liabilities. This is Kiyosaki's most important concept. Even though he created a lot of controversy when he stated that your house isn't considered an asset, but rather a liability, he points that out because each month the house costs you money to own in the form of taxes, insurance, maintenance, and a mortgage. Regardless of whether or not you agree, it's suggested to buy things that put money in your pocket on a regular basis instead of something that costs money and loses value, such as a car or an expensive phone. Now, absolutely brilliant sound advice. Just an extra perspective or take I want to put on it is um, pretty much any sort of real estate that you can hang on to, especially for the full 30-year um, uh, most common mortgages. Um, when you factor in inflation and just the general 3% yearly appreciation of real estate, um, you know, at the end of 30 years, your wealth is always going to be just so far and beyond, further than when you first started that mortgage. So that's the only part about it that um, it, it's hard to just you know let go without also adding that extra perspective and take on it. And the other thing, I don't know if my house hacking video is out yet. It's coming. Well, the entire video isn't about house hacking, but it's I think it's a certain amount of tips on how to be more frugal or how to live on a low budget. I think it was. My God, like all these scripts are just they're blurring in together at this point. But another perspective to have on this is simply not only are you going to gain wealth through the mortgage, even though your cash flow is net negative for these reasons right here, is the taxes, insurance, maintenance, and the mortgage itself, is you can do house hacking. So you can rent out rooms in your home or um, a room in your yard to someone with an RV. Like the possibilities are endless when it comes to house hacking, which I said in a video that's about to come out. I go into more detail in house hacking, but you essentially can rent out enough rooms in your own home to live for free. So now not only are you not um, net negative in cash flow, you're building that wealth and you're not net negative cash flow. Dang, I think I got someone and lost someone. How exciting. One of his favorite examples of an asset is a rental property that generates cash flow on a monthly basis. So one of the other perspectives on literally what we were just talking about is you can buy a duplex, you know, a double try maybe, or a quad, and rent out the other rooms and then live for free and then still potentially have um, uh, a net positive cash flow. The poor mentality gets stuck in the never-ending rat race because they use their paycheck from their jobs to buy liabilities, commonly borrowing money from the bank to finance those items. It's okay to buy liabilities, but only after you've purchased assets that will pay for them. This is such another absolute brilliant way of looking at this stuff is, in other words, if your goal is to buy a new car, look into an investment that will pay for that car instead of relying on working income. I'll do an absolute great example of this. So say the car that you're looking for is um, $50,000. In absolutely no shape or form should you buy a $50,000 car pretty much ever, period, unless there's some sort of crazy strategy where it's not depreciating, you are making money from the car in some way, which I'm eventually going to make. I'll make a video on that. So, but 9 times out of 10, you should never be purchasing a car that's $50,000. That's just crazy. But let's just say you were going to. So let's just say a $50,000 car is um, going to cost you $600 a month. So literally all you have to do is, I know I say all you have to do is, but I mean, you're the one thinking about purchasing a $50,000 vehicle. So now all you have to do is, instead of getting a loan out, which is, you're already screwing yourself on the interest rate on that as well, is instead you save up $50,000 and then you put all of it into a dividend paying stock. Let's say 4% times 0.04. So now you're making $166 a month. So instead of buying the car, you're going to save up the 50,000 instead. You're going to put it into a dividend stock. All right? That is giving you 4%. Now you're making $166 a month. Now you're going to go buy a nice cheap used $10,000 car, maybe up to 13,000 if my math is correct, and you get a really good percentage rate, interest rate, um, and now your car is for free. So instead of getting a loan out for $50,000, you saved up 50,000 instead, put it into a dividend stock that's paying you $166 a month. Now you're going to go buy a used $10,000 car. Um, it's completely for free because your dividend payment is paying for it. That's just a direct example of what this is saying right here. Don't get stuck in the rat race earning mediocre wages until reaching your 60s to retire, or worse, not being able to retire due to complete lack of financial literacy. If you don't have the funds to purchase something you want, find out how you can rather than simply believing it's not. Whoa! If you don't have the funds to purchase something you want, find out how you can rather than simply believing it's not possible. I should use the tax code to your advantage so you don't need to pay more tax than required. Learn as much as you can through experience and take educated risks that have huge potential instead of getting scared away by the possibility of failure. Strengthen your rich mentality with each video watch from this channel. Okay, that's for the actual, edited and published videos. I'm not going to bore you with all that. So, I think the biggest takeaway um, is this example from here. So, and just instead of buying the $50,000 car, save to 50,000, put it in a stock that gives you a 4% dividend. So, and then you divide that by 12 for the year. So you now saved up 50,000 instead of buying the $50,000 car. You put it into the dividend stock instead. Now you make $166 a month instead of spending $600 a month on the car note. Now you can turn around and get, a used $10,000, $13,000 car with low interest rate and have it completely paid for by the dividend. It's it, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's definitely what the wealthy do, what those with a rich mentality do, what the poor mentality do, and generally um, poor people do is they just run out and buy the car. They just buy the car. That they just constantly buy the liabilities instead of focusing on the assets. But yeah, that's basically the new video that's going to be coming out. It's about Robert Kiyosaki, um, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. You guys should definitely check it out if you haven't. It's probably the single best. It's just like one of the single best videos that you could possibly, not videos, books that you could ever read, especially um, introductory wise, right? Like if you have no financial literacy whatsoever, it's such a great starter, and it covers like even all the most difficult stuff like masterfully as well. um I think that's pretty much it. I'm not going to keep boring you guys. That was an hour and 10 minutes. um yep, I'll get out of you guys' hair. Thanks for watching.